jump into some juicy topics.
Yeah.
And, I was really wanting to sort of start with the end, which is a little bit unconventional, but, partly we want to know where we're going.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So where's the Buddha telling us we might be able to go? And what is the highest goal for a Buddhist? And we hear about Nibbana,
Yeah.
Nibbana.
Yeah.
And so my sort of question, I wanted to start there. What is this? What is Nibbana? And is that even a good question? Like, is Nibbana a thing?
Okay. Okay, the way I see it, the Buddha has different ways of approaching the question, what is Nibbana? So I would maybe divide his way of characterizing the nature of Nibbana, maybe put it into three categories, three classes. One would be, I use the word metaphysically or ontologically explicit statements about Nibbana. I know ontology and metaphysics, we think the Buddha avoided metaphysics, avoided ontology. I don't think that's the case. In order to talk about anything, you really need an underlying metaphysic. Yeah. Okay, so ontological or metaphysical statements about Nibbana, then statements extolling Nibbana as a desirable state. Suttas or statements that are intended to inspire in people the wish, desire to attain Nibbana. And then the third category would be suttas which describe Nibbana or even define Nibbana in terms of the task that has to be performed in order to attain Nibbana. Should I elaborate on each of these?
Yeah.
Okay. But it might be that I'm giving a lecture on Nibbana.
This is great.
Okay.
If that's what this is, perfect.
Okay, so what I call the ontological or metaphysical perspective. So there are certain words, and I put special emphasis on this because there's a view within certain circles in the Theravada tradition, particularly emanating maybe from a geographical region where Daniel comes from, where you come from,
Yeah.
that Nibbana is really just non-existence.
Yeah.
And so the aim of the Buddha's teaching is to reach that state of non-existence. I have to say, with that, I always think, in that case, the Christian missionaries win. Because they're saying that this teaching has a very beautiful ethics, but it aims at complete annihilation. Okay.
So you think that's wrong?
Yeah, so I say that there are these terms with an ontological significance that the Buddha uses. Some of the words are dhatu, which we often translate as element, ayatana, base, pada, or state, and even the word dhamma, which has a very broad meaning.
Yeah.
And so there are suttas which speak about Nibbana as a dhatu. In fact, in the suttas we have, let's see if I could get amrita dhatu, that is the one, that is the deathless element.
Yeah.
So let us see, Majjhima Nikaya Sutta number 64. The Buddha says that one contemplates the five aggregates as impermanent, dukkha, non-self, and then he uses a few other descriptive terms, and then one turns one's mind away from those things and focuses on the amrita dhatu.
Yes.
And then with the mind focused on the deathless element, then one attains either the complete destruction of the defilements, or if there's still some clinging left, the state of non-returning.
Can we pause here for a sec? So the Buddha's actually saying in this statement that of something very familiar, that Buddhist practice is often contemplating the five aggregates and understanding their three natures, right?
Yeah.
Like and selflessness being, impermanence being one of them, the suffering nature, right? But in this one, the Buddha is saying at a certain point, you turn away from that and focus. Or I'm interested in the verb. You turn towards the deathless element. What does that actually mean? What does it mean?
Is that? I don't think it's in that book because it's in the Majjhima Nikaya. Let me see if I can find it.
So we're actually turning away from this contemplation on the five aggregates as having these three natures, and we're focusing. I'm interested in the verb focusing on a deathless element. So why are we turning away from this?
Yeah, I think this is not something that just happens sort of willfully, that you're contemplating the five aggregates and then you think, okay, enough of that, I'm going to turn to the deathless element. But I think this is what sort of naturally happens when insight into the nature of the five aggregates has reached its pinnacle. Then what happens, this is the way that commentarial tradition will explain it, that what arises is the world-transcending path, the Lokuttara Magga arises, and that drops the conditioned phenomena as its object, and it focuses on, it actually experiences, sees, and realizes the unconditioned element. And that unconditioned state, that is the deathless element.
Otherwise known as Nibbana.
That is Nibbana, yeah.
So turn away. So it seems like it's not just like turning away. It seems like as you get to a certain level of realization on the nature of things, you automatically enter into this deathless element, otherwise known as Nibbana. And what we're trying to discover tonight is what is that thing, right? So this Nirvana comes out of this insight into the nature of things.
In fact, those three characteristics, the three main characteristics of conditioned phenomena are sometimes said to be called doors to emancipation, vimokkha mukha, doors to emancipation, and each one sort of leads the mind to focus upon Nibbana in a different way as determined by the opposition between that characteristic and the nature of Nibbana. So it's said when you focus on phenomena, conditioned phenomena as impermanent, then when you reach that peak, that becomes the door to the perception, the realization of Nibbana as the signless element. Because it's devoid of the sign or features of conditioned phenomena, of impermanence. If you make the main focus of your contemplation the unsatisfactory or suffering nature of conditioned phenomena, that leads to the realization of Nibbana as the desireless or wishless element. Because Nibbana is sort of the antidote to craving or desire. And then if one focuses, if one's insight emphasizes the non-self nature of conditioned phenomena, then when you reach the world-transcending plane, then you experience or realize Nibbana as the sunyata, that's the door of sunyata, of the empty nature. Nibbana as emptiness.
So these, contemplating these three natures of things, the five aggregates, they're like doorways to Nibbana, let's say.
Exactly.
Doorways to Nibbana. And it seems like that depending on which doorway you take, it gives you a different, Nibbana is described differently. Always in the negatively, it seems, or the wishless state,
wishless,
emptiness. That's interesting. But we're going to say that it's not just a state of nothingness. I'm going through sort of the different ontological terms. So that we started off with the dhatu, with the element. And the word element, it always signifies something that positively exists, that definitely exists. For example, the familiar scheme is 18 elements. Those would be the 6 sense faculties, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, their corresponding objects, and then 6 corresponding types of consciousness. So those are 18 elements. Then we have
Well, there are other schemes about. Of course, the four elements, the four material elements: earth, water, fire, air, and then sometimes space element is added and consciousness element. So those are things that are actually exist that have a nature of their own. And so Nibbana as a dhatu, the Nibbana dhatu, or asankata dhatu, the unconditioned element, is something that exists that has a nature of its own.
Yeah.
Okay, then another term that's used is ayatana. And so we have a sutta, I included it in this book actually.
So in this book, chapter 6 is all on Nibbana, and there's two short suttas. Is that the one you're after?
I don't think ayatana occurs here, but we have it in this book.
Yeah. So once we go on this exploration of Nibbana, I think we're going to try and work out.
There is at least 365. Okay, so here the Buddha says there is that base.
Yeah.
So this is ayatana, where there is neither earth nor water, fire nor air. Then he mentions the different planes of existence. And there is neither this world nor another world, neither sun nor moon. Here I say there is no coming, no going, no standing still, no passing away, and no being reborn. It is not established, not moving without support. This is the end of dukkha, the end of suffering.
And these are your arguments for Nibbana being something, not just nothingness, but being something more than that ontologically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.